Good morning, Algebra All-Star Studians. Today we are going to be working on our AIM 7.16, how do we group polynomials? We are going to be honing in on how we group larger polynomials, all in this skill number 2 of Unit 7. Here I have two binomials. All last skill, you guys became experts at factoring binomials. Now, the only difference is that I have a plus sign between these two binomials. All my writing sometimes is like scribbly. The only difference is that I have a plus sign between my two binomials, giving me a polynomial. The steps we use to break down this polynomial are the same steps that you've been using for factoring binomials. I'm going to use my knowledge on how I factor binomials to factor this binomial and then factor this binomial. We know already that the way we set up our factoring of a binomial is that I have my GCF, or greatest common factor, on the outside of my parentheses, and then two terms on the inside. Same for my green binomial. I'm going to have the GCF of this binomial on the outside of my parentheses with two terms inside my parentheses. Again, the only thing different here is that I'm going to have a plus sign between my two factored binomials. Let's go through these factoring steps to fill in these blanks. My binomial in pink, I'm going to factor first by thinking of my greatest common factor. Let's get this, you guys already know. I'm looking at my coefficients, 4 and 2. Well, the greatest common factor between 4 and 2 is 2. Now I look at my exponents, I have a 3 and a 2. And so I know my GCF is going to be x squared. Now I have my 2x squared out here. I need to make the correct factor pair in order to have a 4x cubed as my first term. So I know that my 2 has to be multiplied by something to get 4. So I'm going to have a 2 there. And then when I look at my variable of that first term, I have an x cubed. So I know that my factor pair is going to have x to the first to give me that x cubed. Looking at my second term, I have a 2x squared over here, and that's the term I want up here. So I'm just going to multiply by 1.
Beautiful.
Let's move on to our green binomial. So here I'm looking at my coefficients, 6 and 3. The greatest common factor between 6 and 3 is 3. Now I'm looking at my variables. Here I have an x to the first, and here I have no x's. I have 0 x's, so that means I have x to the 0th. What's bigger, 1 or 0? 0. So I'm not going to have any x's there, just a 3. Now let's figure out the factor pairs to get each of these terms. My factor pair for 3 to create my first term, 6x to the first, is going to be 2 to give me that 6. And then I have an x to the first here that I don't have in my factor pair here. So I need to make sure I add my x right here with my 2, giving me 2x. Beautiful. Now our last term is a 3. My factor pair to make 3 from 3 is going to be 3 times 1. Boom. I have successfully factored my polynomial by breaking my polynomial down into two binomials and doing what we've been doing for the last few weeks. And the only thing that's different is I now have a plus sign between my two factored binomials. Let's get all of this new info / not so new info down in our notebooks by continuing on to the notes section of this mini lesson. Let's get it.